Hi, my name is Max, and I bought another camera. I know what you're thinking. I know, but this one is different. This will be the last camera I ever buy. I have found my camera for life. It fills all of my needs and the bottomless pit of existential unhappiness that all the other cameras have failed to. This one is different because this one is a crown graphic. It doesn't have a lens yet. Now, let me tell you why I am different from every other photographer who has ever bought one of these awesome cameras. The difference is, I'm gonna shut up about it. Everybody likes to talk too much about the history of the crown graphic or the speed graphic or the Graflex name or the brand or whatever. No one cares. They're old press cameras. That's all you need to know. Press photographers used to carry this son of a bitch around and take press photos with 4x5 sheet film. Can you believe that? I can't believe that. But I have a different purpose. I am going to carry this son of a bitch around and turn it into a view camera. I've been toying with the idea for a long time of going to large format, and this is the cheapest way to do it. I've wanted one for a long time. I went back and forth, I agonized over this decision, and if you want to read about all that agony, maybe I'll write an essay about it and put it on my Patreon page. But for now, the first thing in turning this into a view camera is going to be to break out the multi-tool and see if I can make the crown graphic accomplish what I have failed to do my entire life, which is lose weight. So here she is in all her glory, wearing her side rangefinder and the top viewfinder and all the other crap that comes with these cameras. There's no lens inside, no lens board, and she weighs 2,244,000 pounds. Just kidding, she weighs 2,244 grams, and that equates to 4 pounds, 15.1 ounces. Okay, well, after a fun few minutes tinkering around and destroying any resale value this camera might have ever had, I have saved 320 grams, bringing the total weight of the camera to, oh man, down below the 2 kilogram mark. Nice. But Max, you say, what good is a view camera with no lens? That's why I bought a 135 millimeter Graflex Optar in the old school shutter, and it, I'm happy to say that it mostly works. Did it fire? It didn't fire, did it? There we go. Perfect. Just like a lens should work, I guess. Okay, so we have to make a board that the lens will fit in that will then fit in the front standard of this camera. If only I knew a photographer who had a bunch of excess mat board from framing projects. So in an effort to add some precision to my product, I'm using this tool called a ruler, and I'm told that the crown graphic lens boards were 93 by 94 millimeters. So we're just gonna use this tool called a drafting pencil to make some marks. 94? Sure, that's about right. Okay, I've marked out the appropriate squares on our mat board, and I now have the rear element of the Optar, and I'm gonna place it here and just kind of eyeball it, I think, and draw a circle around that. So this is what it looks like right now. We need to do a little bit of fitting to get them to actually sit down in the standard. We're going to double up the layers. That's why I made 2. And I'm not going to show you how I'm going to cut the circle because it's going to be atrociously done. Okay, I definitely didn't cut this hole out with my pocket knife. I mean, that doesn't look too bad, right? The interior, I mean, no, I think that looks okay. All right, so let's go ahead and, it's got some infinity stops here on the rails. Let's just pull it out to the infinity stops. And can we cock the shutter? Yes, we can. And then we'll open it. Okay. Ready? Are you ready? Oh my gosh. Okay. That is cool. Let's see what we can do. Very nice. I think the infinity stops might actually be in the right place for this lens. Yeah, look at that. That's really cool. Not exactly the neighbor's house. So I'm here in the wet grass on top of this mountain with this tree that I have tried and failed to photograph in the past. Here's the last picture I took of it. Yeah, I just didn't quite get it. So I'm set up here with the Crown Graphic, and I want to give you guys a little bit of an idea of how this works. I'm gonna right now I've got the lens open so I can compose and focus. Gonna close the lens, gonna put the film holder in, remove the dark slide, take the picture, put the dark slide back in, take the film holder out. I think that's how it works. Took a meter reading with my digital camera, and I'm gonna extrapolate from there. Let's do a 60th at f8. Okay, here we go. Here's our first sheet of film. Put it in like this. Make sure the shutter is closed. Cock the shutter. Draw out the dark slide. Expose the film. And we're done. Because 4x5 sheet film is so expensive, I'm using a film called Fomapan 100, which is a dirt cheap, but Legend has it still serviceable film. I've had a few problems with the test sheets that I have run, and I'll show you those now. So the film's tonality is great, the sharpness is great. What's not great is the tiny white specks that are all over the emulsion. And to get rid of those white specks, after much trial and error, I discovered you can use a 1 hour 91% isopropyl alcohol bath after development. Yeah, so that's convenient. Anyway, the other thing is, though the film is nominally ISO 100, it has an effective ISO of about 50. So all my shutter speeds are really long, like the shot of this tree here, even with the sky in the background. That's going to be at f11 for 1/8 of a second. I hope I didn't just get the phone in the shot. Oh, I forgot to tell you I had to put some tape on the lens board to keep out the light. You know, it's still really well made. It's just, nothing's perfect. I'm not gonna lie, this rig is heavy enough that I am not having as much fun as normal. It's super heavy. Like, I'm not an athlete or a bodybuilder or anything, but I do carry a lot of heavy shit in the woods, and this is some heavy shit. So I'm gonna have to do something, either get a better tripod or I don't know, but I can't do this very long. Well, this is one of the trees that I came up here to shoot, except it used to be vertical. All right, if you've been following, man, my hat is really ragged. It's pretty bad. I mean, I am a starving artist, but I could afford a new hat. Anyway, if you've been following a while, you might recognize this tree. And you know what I think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna come back. I mean, I'm gonna shoot a shot today, but I'm gonna come back when I can bring 8 frames or a roll if I'm not shooting large format, just to shoot this tree. Like, this tree is so awesome. You could make a small book about this one tree. It's pretty cool. That's a pretty good shot, I think. Yeah, we'll shoot that. This one's not too bad either. Yeah, these photos better look pretty good, y'all. This is heavy. And I will admit to being a weakling, you know, but it's more than that. It's more than me just like not wanting to carry it. It's like, if it's so heavy that you're completely exhausted, you're not gonna like take the side trail and see what's down there. You know, you're gonna be more focused, and I guess you have to be that way anyway with large format. But you know, what's the point if you can't discover new things, take pictures of stuff no one really sees a lot? I don't want to just take easy trails to the scenic spots, you know? So we'll hope the photos turn out. You guys know already if they have, because I've been showing them throughout the video. I don't know if these photos are going to be any good. Future Max here. So traditionally, you take your 4x5 sheet film, right, and you turn out all the lights and you go in the dark and you develop it in a tray. And that's a terrible system because you need a dark room, which I don't have. All this analog photography, I don't have a dark room. So I have been using daylight tanks, not these suck, but we'll get to that in a second. I've been using daylight tanks for all of my film work for like 15 years at this point. Reach into a dark bag, right? And you take your precious sheet of film that you captured your image with, your beautiful image from the top of the mountain where you hiked with all that weight, and you take a hair tie from your days as a teenage metalhead, and in the dark, you put the hair tie around the film, and then you put that in the tank. 4 of them can fit in the tank. And then you take the center column from the tank and you stick it in there to take up space. And this is called, because of the way you fold the film, this is called the taco method. Long story short, the taco method failed, and all of my images from that day on the mountain have freaking terrible light leaks. I know you can't see this, I know, but there's light leaks. Oh, this is the first shot of the tree. Man, there's light leaks all over it because the center column came loose during development and shined light all over my images. So, what do I have? A bunch of nothing from that trip. And if I want anything, I gotta haul this camera back up the mountain, hope for good weather, and reshoot all these images. And at this point in this process, I didn't even know if I wanted to go back. Well, I'm back. You know, I think we're just gonna have to let this tree get away, though. I mean, it's nice, but God, there's been a lot of film on this tree. And looks like it doesn't matter. I can't shoot it, even if I wanted to. Yeah, we're gonna call that one the tree that got away. You guys remember last year when I was thinking about going large format, and I said this? Lately, I've really been thinking about going large format, and this situation is exactly why I don't. I've already shot 10 frames today, so that would be 5 film holders worth. So that's like 5 film holders, all that weight, and then I wouldn't. I mean, what do you only carry 10, right? I don't know how many film holders people carry, but then, you know, somebody parks in your shot and you're screwed. All right, so I'm back here at this tree and I've got several film holders loaded up with Ilford HP4, a real film. Nothing against all you Fomapan users out there, but never again. Like, this shot's gonna be an 1/8 at f/16. Okay, so we're looking at this little spindly tree here with the moss on it. We're going to shoot this at a 50th at 4.7. All right, we're going to put this weenie tripod to the test here. Let's see if it can do 100th at 4.7. Today I brought 8 frames, but I think I'm gonna only shoot 6 because I'm losing the good light here. The sun is coming out, and there's a couple things I want to shoot back in the city as well. But also I have a new developing system because I wouldn't have come back if I had had to use the taco method again. And that developing system is the 20th Century Camera QL45 4x5 reel. The QL45 will allow me to develop 6 sheets at a time, which will make things 50% faster. Really interested in shooting this tree, but I already have a really good shot of this tree, so I think I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to pass it up. See, this is what I'm going to have to get used to shooting 4x5. Okay, I got one more shot. I saw this tree on the way in and I really like it. But the lens isn't wide enough to get everything we need to get. So I don't know quite what to do here.
All right, we just lost a ton of light and I think it's getting ready to rain, but this is what the shot looks like. I applied some sideways shift, and then when you turn the camera, of course, that becomes rise. And I think I can barely fit it all in the frame. Let's do it. Okay, here's our last shot for this trip. Although I'm not quite sure it's ready yet. Let's see. Would it look better as a vertical? And here's the rain, right on time. But you know what? I'm happy for the rain because it's the rain that keeps the tourists down. And look at this parking lot. One other car besides mine back there. And honestly, except for that couple that ruined that first shot, didn't see anybody.
So, as you have hopefully seen, the negatives from this trip turned out a lot better. But there were some nagging concerns left over in the back of my mind about this whole system. And the money that I spent, the camera was like 260 bucks. Not that expensive. The lens was about 100. No big deal. But then you get into the reels. The QL45 is 60 bucks a piece. You get into the cost of film itself. The box of FP4 was 50 bucks. The box of Fomapan was 35 bucks. And all of a sudden I look and I've spent like $500-600 on this project just to even test out whether this format is for me. I got some other issues which I'll get to later about carrying a lot of weight. So I can't use the big tripod with this system. I gotta use my little travel tripod or find another tripod that is somewhere in between the tiny travel tripod and the big honkin' studio tripod, but then that means I gotta spend more money. On and on and on. The weight of the film holders works out to 90 grams per image. When I'm carrying medium format film in my little Squadron Leader 10, that's 3 grams per image. So at this point I had done like the most load bearing activity I could think of. I'd carried all this stuff up to the top of a mountain to take these pictures. What I hadn't done was a waterfall shoot. So I wanted to return to another spot, and I wanted to do it without recording any video. I wanted to just take the camera like as if this were a normal shoot and this was my camera, and I wanted to take it and get wet and muddy and climb around on the rocks and see what I could find. So I'm going to show you those pictures right now. As I was shooting these, I was saying to myself, this is absolutely ridiculous. The amount of weight and the cumbersomeness of the system is just ridiculous for what I'm trying to do. These images better be super fantastically awesome for me to keep going with this. And then when I pulled the negatives off the reel, I realized they were super fantastically awesome. The amount of detail I was getting from these shots was pretty impressive. Using a macro lens, photographing these negatives at close focus, and then stitching them together in post, I get an image that is 10,000 pixels or more in the long dimension. That equates, with 4x5, that equates to about 85 megapixels. I only have a 1:2 macro lens. If I had a 1:1 macro lens and could get like full life-size magnification, I could be getting 160, 170 megapixels out of these images. How can you turn that down? And once you've been there, once you've used that format, can you ever go back? Well, yeah, I can go back. I made myself a list because I knew I would regret sending the camera back. It's already back, it's gone. The camera is gone. And I'm already regretting it because I look at these images and I'm like, why would I give that up? Here's the list of reasons why large format is not for me at this time. Number 1, weight. It's really heavy. The size. You can get lighter stuff, you can't really get smaller stuff. And I really like having all of my gear in one bag that I can carry on my back for hours at a time without getting fatigued. I don't want to add a bag, and to carry enough film holders for a whole day, I would either have to get rid of the survival gear that I keep in my bag that I'm really not willing to do, or plan all my trips with a resupply back to the car. The real clincher, though, is the work on the back end. So you got to go into a dark bag, right? You got to put your arms in the dark bag to get your film out. No matter what format you shoot, you got to get your film out of the roll and into a developing tank. With 4x5, you also have to go in the dark bag to put your film from the box it came in into the film holders. So you've just doubled your time in the dark bag. Maybe that's not such a big deal, but then you can only develop 4 sheets at a time. I thought you said the QL45 develops 6 at a time. It does. It develops them with scratches all over them. This was honestly the last straw. I like the QL45 reel. It loads easily, but it does scratch up the negatives in ways that I can't repair in post, at least not very easily. I'm going to have to spend a lot more time in post working on that, and that is not, sitting in front of a computer is not why I like to shoot analog photography. So honestly, the best developing results I got out of this whole project were from using the taco method in a regular stainless steel tank that didn't have the opportunity to light leak all over my freaking images. Patterson, thank you so much. Anyway, I mean, it wasn't designed to use the taco method. Can't really hold that against Patterson, but stainless steel tank did so much better, but you can only develop 4 at a time. Normally, even if you only process 1 roll of medium format film, you're developing 12 images at a time. So now you've like basically tripled your time in the dark room. Because of all that work, you lose the urge to play. You lose the urge to experiment because you know every image is going to cost you all this money, all this weight, and all this time. And so it's not the same experience as going out and having 12 shots on a roll of film or 48 shots in your 10 of Squadron Leader. It's not the same experience. And I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm a mature enough photographer to want to give up the ability to shoot experimental images when I'm out there. The biggest expense, as I've talked about before, the biggest expense is fuel, is getting to these places. So once I'm there, I want to shoot a lot. You just can't do that. It just makes me take my work too seriously. And the whole reason that this work has been as successful as it has is because I'm not that serious about it. I don't take it seriously. I take it responsibly, but not seriously. Like the entire, from the very beginning with the pinhole waterfall thing, the entire purpose was to play and have fun. And there was definitely an element of fun that was missing from the Crown Graphic experience. Real landscape photographers shoot large format, and I want to be a real landscape photographer. Like Michael Kenna or Faye Godwin, who shot medium format. It's an ego thing. It's entirely about like, oh, I want to be like making the best images possible. Like, but then there's always a bigger format. So you get into this rabbit hole of comparing sizes with other photographers, and then you're back into the digital rat race of like, oh, my sensor is 6 months newer than yours, so my pictures are better. Part of my reason for getting into this was my success on Patreon. And by the way, I mean success on my own terms, right? My terms are, if I have more than 0 patrons, I'm a success. I'm just glad that my film and fuel are paid for by people who support the work. So a lot of this was motivated by like wanting to be the best I could for my patrons. When they're Patreons, is patron their whatever, for the people that give me money. But I would rather shoot more images, take more risks, experiment more, and bring a little bit more vitality to the body of work than have the finest resolution available. And I think that is more in the spirit of what I started to do, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. So this has been a fun little experiment. It was sort of a midlife crisis thing for me, and the camera's already back. And of course, I didn't return it. I exchanged it for more gear. We'll talk about that later. Thank you so much for watching, and if anybody's out there thinking about getting into a Crown Graphic, let me know. I did some pinhole experimentation, but didn't have time to really get into it. But I do have some thoughts about that. I might publish them on a public Patreon, whatever. I might make my findings public. Thanks for watching. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.